Michael Bay is back, and unlike Pearl Harbor, this one is completely, 100% historically accurate. That's right, we're talking the first live-action Transformers movie on today's That Song from That Movie. Hands on top.
What?
Apparently it's supposed to be Everybody Stop. I've never come across that one myself before. You?
Nope.
Well then, thank you for joining That Song from That Movie, the journey through the very best and worst of movie songs. I am your, credited by Optimus Prime himself as helping to recover the Allspark from the Decepticons at Universal Studios Orlando, host Dietrich. And there's more to him than meets the eye, Alex.
Does that mean that I can transform into something?
It can mean whatever you want to mean, baby.
It'd be very different film, wouldn't it, if they were all like mammals? Although there was Beast Wars. Remember Beast Wars?
Made by the same people.
I think the next in real world Transformers film is actually about Beast Wars.
Oh my god, is it? Well,
yeah, I think so.
that might be good.
Okay. And we're also joined by the man known as username Ladiesman217, Ben.
I don't look fondly at that time in my life, D. And hopefully people recognise that's a quote from the film and it isn't actually anything to do with me.
Oh, it wasn't. Okay, I was just typing that down. Try and find it.
Okay, what have you been watching this week?
Well, obviously I've been watching Rush Hour because it came on Netflix.
Did it?
Yeah.
What, all three?
I don't know. The first one definitely was because it came straight on. So as soon as I saw it, I pressed play. My wife had never seen it, so she still hasn't because she walked out after 10 minutes. She ain't gonna be in Rush Hour 3.
Wow. When are we going to do War from Rush Hour 1? Is that gonna...
Oh, it is. Yeah, we could do, couldn't we? I was literally thinking, is there a song in this? There is. I mean, it's a push. That's a push.
It is a push.
We could do it.
The day we run out of content.
Alex?
I watched a couple of Alfred Hitchcock films that were on BBC this past week. The Lady Vanishes and To Catch a Thief. God, I can't say that word. Thief. I'm trying to stop myself from saying thief, but I can't. Both good, both very different, both from very different periods of his directing career, but yeah, both equally decent in their own way.
To Catch a Thief is one of my favourites. The only creepy thing about it is Cary Grant is about difference. 60.
Yeah. It's like a solid mahogany tree by that point, isn't it? Like growing in the rainforest
He is
for
pure
like hundreds of years.
Yes, it reminds me of Roger Moore in any Bond, needing like a running stunt double.
Yeah, God.
Go on, D.
Well, I didn't watch it this week, but I thought, carrying on from the last time we did this, I thought I'd talk about the second half of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
It's taken you that long to get through it.
Where I said the first half was an improvement, I feel like the second half was not an improvement.
You know, I just well, it's gone out of my memory already.
All the things I didn't enjoy about the first one, i.e. Superman turns up and he fixes everything. Like, his presence could have fixed the problem 25 minutes ago.
Yep.
Still the same problem, even if they've tried to get around it. It just... Superman's too overpowered in that universe.
Yes, yeah, well, that's the problem. The fact that they have the Flash, whose whole thing is supposed to be super speed, and Superman's faster than him. It's just stupid.
Okay, so this week we are discussing the first live-action Transformers movie, which means we're talking about Linkin Park's What I've Done. So to find out what was happening in the world when the movie came out, Ben?
Time for some history.
It's time for some history.
It is time for some history. So we're going to the not so far away past, to July 2007. Yes, there have been 5 Transformer films in that time. It's terrible. Anyway, England initiates the smoking ban in all public indoor places, condemning working men's clubs to destitution and allowing all toddlers to delay the development of second-hand nicotine addiction till at least their 13th birthday. I remember this day because the ceiling at the local working men's club where I often visited changed colour from a solid brown to a original white.
I thought you were going to say to a vibrant yellow.
I mean, yeah, that was most of the people's teeth in there.
Do you remember, like, because I really distinctly remember this time because we were obviously still Well, we were quite old by this, but the time when obviously the smoke, where you could still smoke in clubs and stuff, and you were children, it was like you were running through like World War One or something, like in the trenches, and all the smoke in no man's
Oh, I was thinking stars in your eyes.
yeah, but it's like, there was no smoke like on the ground level, so like kind of like a cloud above your head. It was kind of weird.
Like one of the sort of fire training videos that you do at work.
Yeah.
In other news, Live Earth kicks off around the world, the long-awaited sequel to Live Aid. Remember this?
Yeah.
Wait, Live Earth, as in the Al Gore one, or Live 8?
Live
the one
Earth.
before the G8? Earth.
Yes.
All right, okay.
Yeah. Remember this one?
No, I don't actually. Sorry, I thought you were talking about Live It.
They all mould into one. Funnily enough, this was dubbed by many artists to be the private jets for climate change, because it was expected that the carbon footprint for Live Earth was 3,000 times that of the annual British carbon footprint. So we're changing the world, guys.
Christ.
You got to spend £1 to make a penny?
You've got to kill a tree to plant two?
I don't know.
Yeah, you got to make space for it.
It's not working, Al Gore. And finally, I don't have a joke. The final Harry Potter book, Deathly Hallows, is published, selling 11 million copies in 24 hours. And I was one of them. You're welcome, J.K. Rowling.
She really needed that one purchase from you. Just really topped up. Because, to be fair, if it hadn't been for you, it'd have been like, what, 10,999,999.
Who wants that as a record?
No.
Not even noteworthy, that.
No, it's not.
In other news, whether good or bad, a certain film came out known as the Transformers film. Yes, the Transformers film, apparently. It's directed by Michael Bay. It's a 2007 action sci-fi movie and the first of a pentology of films, all directed by Michael Bay. There is an arguable plot for this one, but in essence, the Autobots and the Decepticons, two rival robot factions from the planet Cybertron, come to Earth to fight over something called the Allspark, and Josh Duhamel and Tyrese Gibson pretend they have a say in it. That's kind of the gist of what I got from the film. I've got some things to say about this one. What do you guys think before I get into it?
So I actually hadn't seen this movie until this week.
What?
Which I think I expected was going to be a surprise. I'd never seen it before. I'd always avoided it because I thought, well, one, it looked terrible, and two, like the general reaction and to the franchise and everything is all ridicule. So I thought, maybe it's not worth my time. Basically, I went in with low expectations, and I guess it did succeed in surpassing my expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But only just.
We're talking like, I thought it was a 3 out of 10, but it ended up being more like a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
So nothing spectacular.
I mean, 5 out of 10, Michael Bay said that.
So because I'd only just sat down to watch it this week, I thought, what I'll do, I'll actually write down my thoughts as I go in the movie.
Oh, that's a good idea.
However, after the decent opening scene, it all goes pretty downhill fast. So I gave up and just started writing down examples of product placement I saw.
Ooh.
There's a lot.
So I'm happy to pepper them out throughout the episode, Ben. Just let me know when you want some.
Okay, give us the first one now.
So the first one I've got on my list is Burger King.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And once you've done this, I'll add to one that they tried to get who refused.
Interesting.
Potentially, who knows. Anyway, Alex?
Yeah, so so whereas Dee's only seen it this week, I haven't seen this film since it was released in the year 2007. I think what I will say first of all is that it must have been okay enough that I watched the second one. But I've never seen beyond the second one. Is the second one, wait, is the second one, does it have something to do with ancient Egypt?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it does.
Oh yeah, then I have seen that.
Well, they're I think they go to some.
There's a part where they're in Egypt.
Like Egypt.
Ancient Egypt?
Maybe not ancient.
Not ancient
they're around
Egypt.
pyramids.
Sorry,
they're
like
around
pyramids. Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Oh right.
Yeah, sorry.
I think one of the pyramids is like a conduit for summoning Transformers or something like that.
Yeah, so it might have some element of ancient Egyptian folklore. I was going to say folklore, truth about it. I don't know. But yeah, I don't remember much about the film, but I did read the plot synopsis to kind of remind me, and it was the plot synopsis is anything to go by. It sounds like the most boring film of all time. I don't remember it being particularly boring. I just remember it being a bit like a word from the year 2007, meh. But yeah. I don't really have anything else to say about it. I don't remember it well enough to criticize it, but I just know that everyone said it was terrible. I think probably in 2007 I was like, yeah, it's all right.
I mean, the reviews were mixed. I wouldn't say they were terrible. Since then, I think the original Transformers film has been sullied by the 4 that came after it. Especially the fifth one, which is, I think, one of the few films in my life that I've walked out of the cinema from and I don't have to pay for cinema tickets.
This isn't worth the nothing you paid for.
It's not worth the nothing, Matt. It's not worth the drive it took me. I think I stomached about 2/3 of that. And it has Sir Anthony Hopkins in it.
Wow.
Yeah, he's hilarious, isn't he? He clearly on some sort of Novocaine trip. The second half of the first Transformers film, I don't mind, because I was a big fan of Transformers as a child, of the toys, of the animated series, of the animated film, which is fantastic. And I'm looking at the Steelbook right now in front of me, in all its glory. Leonard Nimoy, Orson Welles.
What?
Exactly.
I mean,
Why didn't we do that
people are
one?
going to ask why you didn't choose that, yeah.
Well, because we will do it one day, because that
okay.
has the greatest song in it. Stan Bush's The Touch.
Are we building up to it?
Yeah, of course.
We've got to get through 5 Linkin Park songs before we can talk about Stan
Yeah,
Bush.
exactly.
That's how it works.
The annoying thing about this film, and it seems to be the general consensus, is that it takes half the film to get Transformers in it, really. You go see this film, you want to see Optimus Prime. I know you've kind of got to dangle that carrot in front of people, but it just takes so long to get there, and you're having to deal with a teenage romance that I don't care for. I really, really don't.
We're using teenage in like inverted commas here because they look like they're in their late 30s.
Well, I think yes, and Shia LaBeouf definitely was a lot older than his age was. But yeah, I don't care. And the whole subplot of American soldiers having some form of say in this intergalactic war between two giant robot factions, that's the bit that annoys me most. Like, they just keep saying, at one point, Josh Duhamel shoots a Decepticon, an evil Transformer, and maybe does enough damage to make it wince. And I think that's about it, and they're all celebrating. You didn't do anything, guys. Funnily enough, Tyrese Gibson, who has had, I guess, somewhat a decent amount of fame in the Fast and the Furious franchise. Would you say, D?
Yes. Challenge. Name any other franchises in.
Yep, done. He paid the filmmakers to get him a role in this film. I mean, it worked. It worked. Guys, that's what you got to do. If you want to be a movie star, give your money to directors. That's
How
what
much
you
did
need
he
to do.
pay them?
I don't know.
You got to use that live Earth conversion rate. He spent $100
Yeah.
and got $1 back in return.
Probably. Like I say, I was a huge fan of this as a kid, so I got what I wanted in the second half of the film. And the second, third, fourth, and especially the fifth are shocking. Absolute piles of trash. Flaming trash. Flaming trash that is burning the ozone at Live Earth. This is a huge media franchise. It's been going since the early 80s. Were you aware of this as a kid? Is this something, you've have any kind of affinity to?
Well, I've already mentioned it. My only affinity was via Beast Wars.
So you're clearly Beast Wars fans.
I remember the original cartoon being on TV as well, the 80s cartoon.
Yeah, I remember watching it, and I remember playing the video game where I could never figure out what you were supposed to do.
Still no idea.
But I wouldn't say I was a fan so much as it was on.
Yeah. I mean, that was just TV for me, I guess, as a child. It was always on. But yeah, I guess it comes from that line of Japanese toy manufacturers that loved giant-ass robots. Or just giant-ass things. It comes back, I guess, from early Godzilla. They just loved huge things. Gundam is huge. All the Transformers, originally a Japanese company from Takara Tomy. Evangelion.
The thing that the Power Rangers change into.
Well, yeah, I don't know if... Yeah, there's something to do with, I don't know, Japanese culture love huge things. I know it was adapted by Hasbro as an American company. They made Beast Wars. I think its revenue of all the toys, animation, comic books, video games, films, it's generated more than $2 trillion in revenue.
Wow.
And that's 2 trillion, not 2 trillion.
That's like 4 or 5 Space Jams.
Sorry, I'll go back on that. It's generated more than 25 billion in revenue. It's 2 trillion yen.
Oh, that's less. That's less Space Jams.
Less Space Jams. 25 billion?
Yeah, I mean,
So, yeah,
it's less than it was before. I mean, it's still multiple Space Jams.
It's one of the highest grossing media franchises of all time. So why aren't you giving it its dues, Alex?
Well, I am saying it's worth multiple Space Jams. Is that
where it falls?
That's the measure. That's how I measure everything.
I mean, does this even fall into the argument for great movie franchises? Because in a sense, it's the movies that have made it. These are some of the highest grossing movies of all time. this film, on a budget of between $150 and $200 million, made $709 million. And this is the second lowest box office revenue of all five.
What?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Because the Asian market, the Chinese market, really took to these films. Hence why they've made 5 of them. The overseas market is huge.
Yeah, I mean, there obviously has to be a reason,
Yeah.
doesn't there? Because I can't think of one. But I'm sure, yeah, clearly there was.
The 2007 Transformers movie had the second highest foreign gross of the time outside the US after Titanic. They love giant robots.
Wow. Yeah.
This is a big
I
deal.
mean, I've never heard Titanic referred to as a gigantic robot. But,
It
yeah.
is in some ways.
That's what they hit. Optimus was in the ocean. It wasn't an iceberg. I was the first to say it, and as we say, once it's on the internet, it's truth.
That's true, yeah. So Titanic was sunk by Optimus Prime. Was it Optimus Prime that was the iceberg? I thought it was the other one. The Decepticon.
Oh, yeah, it was Megatron. It was Megatron.
Yeah, it was Megatron. And he's down there with Captain America.
In the cartoons, do you know what Megatron transforms into?
Like a 14-wheeler, I don't know, truck or something.
No.
Just a guess.
I would have guessed like a Harrier jet.
Oh yeah, that's a good show. Like a sort of like a stealth plane.
Nope. He transforms into a handgun. A giant handgun. They didn't do this in the films because that's stupid. But he just transforms into a giant handgun.
Right, well.
That shoots people. That's all it is.
What with giant bullets?
Everything else in the series transforms into a vehicle of sorts. From like a motorbike to, like a jumbo jet. Except Megatron transforms into just a gun.
I mean, my obvious next question is why was it not a giant handgun, but on wheels?
Well, Alex, this is why the series only lasted till 1987. Clearly, they needed you.
They needed me there. Just add wheels.
So clearly you're not Transformers fans. Do you like giant sort of kaiju battles, giant monsters, machines fighting each other? Not your wheelhouse.
Well, I already said I like Power Rangers.
Which part, though?
The end bit.
The Power Rangers themselves are small. You like the same thing every time they defeat them. Oh, shucks.
The Zordons.
Yeah, well, I
Wait,
used
the
to like...
Zords?
Oh no, Zordon's the guy.
Zords.
Zords.
Who lives in the sort of, ice palace or whatever. I used to like it when the bad guys, essentially all they did was grow large.
Yeah, that sort of like witch on the moon would throw the staff and it would hit the ground and somehow make them big.
Yeah, and it would happen every single time.
Oh, God, I miss 90s TV shows.
Should we just cancel this one and do the Power Rangers movie instead?
I mean, I would kind
What?
of like
That
to
is
do
it.
that again.
It's got a song in it. It's got Red Hot Chili Peppers at the start.
Well,
I
there you
love
go.
that. I love that
Well,
one.
there you go.
We'll
do that next week.
I mean, I've got nothing against it per se, Ben, to go back to your original question. But yeah, I just think the film has to also be enjoyable. I mean, I don't really remember this one being bad per se, because I did
it's
watch the second one. I just think it was I just nothinged it.
Yeah, they do it well. I mean, as much criticism as the visual effects have had in the sequels for just being a hodgepodge mess of I have no idea who's fighting who, what's going on, it got a lot of plaudits at the time because it's incredible. There's thousands of moving parts on these robots and they kind of mold them together to make it work. And they do that alongside physical effects as well.
Yeah, well, I thought during maybe the first half of the movie, all the transforming and transformery people doing stuff, it was all in the dark. It did seem like a CGI mush. But I thought the choice to put the second half in the daytime was a really good idea because it made everything so much more clearer to see if you ignored the sort of weird saturation of the movie.
Yes, yeah, no, I completely get that. And yeah, they spent a lot on explosions, but it is Michael Bay.
I was going to say it's a Michael Bay, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are all 5 Michael Bay?
Yeah, all 5.
Makes sense. That tracks.
It might be 4, but I'm pretty sure it's all of them. Apparently in one scene, they used mines in the ground to explode behind the running actors, like a concussion effect. So like as they were running, mines close to them would explode. And he explicitly stated to the actors that under no circumstance stop running because you might die.
God, that's one way to get you to run, isn't it?
Tyrese Gibson's career could have ended there.
He'd be essentially paid to die on the set of a Michael Bay film.
Yeah, all of $1. A lot of big blockbuster films, especially at the time. Like, this was actually considered fairly cheap for the time. His budget was quite small compared to films like Pirates of the Caribbean. But these are at the top of the lists for box office revenue. Do you think it is the case of one of those, an empty vessel makes the most noise, that these are the kind of films that you just are just soulless? Or do you think there is something for them?
Do you want me to refer back to my product placement list?
I mean,
Please
suppose what a perfect time to bring it in.
Apple, Yahoo, Chevrolet.
Okay.
Continue.
That's interesting, actually. I didn't know there was Apple products in it because Apple refused to. There's a scene in the film where they put a phone into a machine and it transforms into a little monster, and Apple refused to let it be an iPhone.
Okay. There is one that appears, but it's not used in it by anyone untoward, and it's definitely not a Decepticon.
Well, yeah, I suppose you're not going to get far if you. The Decepticons seem to often be resembled as the police in this film, since the main Decepticons, it just turns into a cop car.
Ooh, statement.
Yeah, I know. How topical. See, he knows where to hit the buttons. But yeah, do you think these films are just soulless then? I don't think films like this really get made anymore.
Except for the sequels.
The franchise has been built on now, but like a new film, I feel that blockbusters have to have more substance now. I don't think you can get away with those empty films. It reminds me of like films like Midway and stuff like that. People try and make them. I think it's a Roland Emmerich. They just fall flat now. I wonder if audiences expect more in their huge, mega, hundreds of millions of blockbuster films.
Yeah, I think it's difficult with this, isn't it? Because it's hard to relate to a machine. You know, if you compare it to something like, like the Marvel films, I suppose, it would be a good comparison. Even though those are superheroes, there are still like human elements to it, much more than there is to something like this. Even if you're not a huge fan of like the Marvel films, they're still human stories in a lot of ways, and I think they're a lot more relatable. And I think it's just easier to tell a story that an audience can empathise with. I think this one, it even sets out, which I was going to come on to later when we talk about the song. But in the poster, it even says something like the tagline, like something like "Our planet, their war." I've written it down somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's right.
It's essentially saying that humans are just irrelevant to this story in a lot of ways. And you even picked up on it, Ben, when you said about the guy shooting them with the gun, and it doesn't even the character doesn't even win, and that's a big victory. It's kind of the film is setting it up as like completely removed from a human struggle.
I think they're trying to make it connected, but you'll forget the size of this. It is just so insignificant, and I think it's too disparate.
Yeah, because like with the Marvel films, you obviously have the characters like Thanos, where it's kind of trying to create that sort of like, well, humanity is quite insignificant, but then obviously that isn't the case as you go through the films. They work it well, whereas I think with this, maybe they didn't do a good job of that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was a good attempt, but it's just not going to work. They just get bigger and more ridiculous, and the influence a singular or small group of human beings can have becomes even more insignificant. Moving on to the music, there were 2 albums released for this movie. Transformers The Score and Transformers The Album. So Transformers The Score was composed by Steve Jablonsky, which is not a real name. It can't be.
It must be fake.
Steve Jablonsky. No. So that was all the the orchestral pieces of the film, and then they made Transformers The Album, which was produced by Warner Brothers. So it has a very alt rock feel to it. We're talking The Used, Taking Back Sunday, Him,
Yep.
Disturbed, Smashing Pumpkins,
Yep.
16-year-old Alex and Dee. Feel like you'd be on this.
Yeah, I've heard of those bands.
I've heard of those bands.
Downplaying it.
Yeah. Definitely downplaying.
I think it's really hard to mix orchestral music at its core and modern adapted soundtracks into one film. In the sense of still trying to be sort of really pronounced and epic, and to the point where you're trying to sell 2 albums of this. And I was trying to think of examples where it's very famous that you'll have a really pronounced, standout orchestral piece and a really famous sort of song in a film. Can you think of any example in which there's a song in a film that's famous and a orchestral piece in the film that's famous?
God.
Under Pressure. Only one came to my mind straight away.
I guess the Star Trek films we've already talked about.
Star Trek is something that did come to me because Beastie Boys, I guess, is quite prominent in the film.
And the Michael Giacchino score.
Yes, which is fantastic.
Guardians.
See, I can't think of the actual orchestral music in Guardians.
I was thinking maybe something like Forrest Gump. That was a very famous intro music. And
Forrest
then
Gump did come to me, yeah. The one that stood out most to me was Back to the Future. Like, I know the orchestral sort of pieces that Alan Silvestri is fantastic, and then there's Huey Lewis in the News, which is also really pronounced. But I think it's really hard to do. And if you watch the film back with this in mind, it really stands out. It's really jarring. They've got all these huge set pieces, this orchestral music in the background, and then Pretty Handsome Awkward by The Used starts playing for about just the music, not the singing, for about 30 seconds. You're like, what? Thanks, Alex. Thanks. It's really off-putting, and I think it's terribly done. And with that, I move on to the song that bookends Transformers, which is the song we're discussing today, which is What I've Done by Linkin Park. So What I've Done is a song by the American rock band Linkin Park, which was released as their first single from their third studio album, Minutes to Midnight. Now the song starts to play as Optimus Prime is giving his eulogy, his sending off speech at the end of the film, and then the lyrics kick in over the credits. So it's kind of a credit song that's just gently touched on in the film, but in general, it's not got a huge tie into the film. What are your thoughts of this song?
I like this song. I was a fan of this album because it was kind of a slight departure from the first two albums, I think. But I like this album generally, this Linkin Park album, not the Transformers soundtrack.
You'd love that.
Yeah, that maybe I should start listening to. But I like this song. I was listening to it and watching the video, and what kind of struck me, which is sort of what I touched on before, is that it doesn't seem to fit the film lyrically, in my opinion. Like, I do like it, but I just don't think it is aligned at all to what is happening in the film.
No.
Because the music video as well sort of suggests that the song is about, like, things that humanity has done to make the world, like, a less good place. And if you sort of take the lyrics literally, it's, like, more about personal debt that we feel for, like, sort of our actions. But, like, if you compare that to the film, where it's essentially saying that humanity's role in this entire story is quite insignificant, and it's about these, like, alien robots that have been fighting for, centuries and hundreds of millions of years or whatever, then it doesn't make sense alongside that, unless the song has been sung, of course, from the perspective of the robots themselves, the transforming robots.
That would, an auto-tuned version would be fantastic.
It doesn't really work for me. I mean, obviously it fits alongside the other songs that you mentioned before quite nicely, if that was the soundtrack they were going for, but in terms of, if we're talking about a song representing what happens in a film, or at least, being thematically similar, I don't think that this really works. This was my first reaction to it, definitely. But I like the song.
Yeah, I also like the song. Now, that is. As Alex pointed out, this was sort of a step away from the sort of new metal-y first two albums of Linkin Park towards the more like, I don't know, absolute radio, generic rock, Radio X type of thing.
Rock, yeah.
And so because of that, I really hated this song at the time, but I do look back and sort of cringe at myself for taking such a strong view against what is a pretty good song. It's just different to what they did before.
Yeah.
And it's not even different by a whole lot, so I don't know why I had such a strong reaction to it.
They kept getting more different.
Yeah, they did keep getting more different.
And basically at the time, I was accusing them of selling out.
Nice.
And now I do this podcast and shill suitcases. So, I'm sorry, Chester, I'm the sellout. I'm sorry for making fun of you.
I'm sure he'd forgive you, D. I was a huge Linkin Park fan as a teen. I liked this album a lot, but I did prefer the two before it, Hybrid Theory and Meteora, and have begun to like this album more as I have gotten older. Not necessarily for the themes, I just think it's more fitting with the kind of music that I listen to on a day-to-day.
Adult contemporary.
Yes, 100%, yeah. It's either Radio 4 or Classic FM now, and that's the life I have. But I saw Linkin Park live when I was 17, which was more or less in the tour that followed this album. And actually, the concert that I was at, which was in Milton Keynes, won a Grammy for the performance of this song live. So I don't know, it was like the best live performance of an alt rock song. I don't know, but they won a Grammy, which we've slowly started to realise during the recording of this podcast means nothing. Because there are so many
unless
Grammys,
you're Will Smith.
Unless you're Will Smith. I think that there's reasons why this song doesn't fit with the film. partly because the film is largely, as Dee has already pointed out, a big cash cow of just trying to make money. That seems to be the main reason for it. It's a toy that's being made into a film. Just like the Lego movie, you can make it good, but at the heart of it, you just want to sell more toys.
Talking of toys, Furbies, Xbox 360, also on my list.
Oh, right, there you go. Lovely. Bucket end it off. But yeah, this...
Oh, there's more than that.
Oh, Jesus Christ. According to Megan Fox, she was attending a Linkin Park concert, and when it was over, the band met her personally and stated that they'd heard about this live-action Transformers movie being made, and they requested if they could have a song of theirs in the film. And there's What I've Done appears in the closing credits. It was not intended to be the single for this film. It has just become that in the process of making the film. So initially, the official song for this film is called, and it's still stated as the official song, is called Before It's Too Late, in brackets, Sam and Michaela's theme, by the Goo Goo Dolls.
The Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah, it's crap.
Right.
It's really bad. It's on. You can get it on the album.
Is it in the movie?
It does play when they're in the car, but an instrumental version. I think it's the second or third song in the credits.
I didn't stay around that long.
No, the Goo Goo Dolls recorded it. It became official. They still released it as a single. But in all the promo for the film,
And trailers and things like that.
all the trailers, it's What I've Done by Linkin Park. They just, as soon as Linkin Park said, "Hey, here's one of our new singles," I imagine the dollar signs just went in the producer's eyes, and they thought, "Yeah, Linkin Park are about to, release their huge next album," and it was absolutely huge. The single was 5 times platinum in the US, rated gold in various, I think, like 12 countries in Europe. Song debuted at number 21 in the US Billboards. It was huge.
It did feel
And
like it was everywhere, didn't it? Like, you just couldn't get away from it at the time. Like, you turned on Kerrang, which I did often, Oscars, and there it was. For like 2 or 3 years, it felt like.
I think they hit that sweet spot by making it a slightly softer sound, and it became mainstream success. A bit like American Idiot, Green Day.
Yeah, definitely.
It just hit that sweet spot where it could be played on any radio station, basically, without offense. Couldn't really do that maybe with some of the first album stuff, and that's led us to discuss it, and not Before It's Too Late by the Goo Goo Dolls. And it's the Goo Goo Dolls. Who knows a song by the Goo Goo Dolls? That's not Iris.
Better Days.
See, you could be making that up from all I know.
I'm not. It's a genuine song.
Iris?
I just said Iris is the only one.
Which is also a song from a film.
Is it?
Yeah.
Let's not go into that
It's
because the video is the video is basically a film in itself.
Yeah, well, no, because the video for that song is the film. It's that film with Nicolas Cage in where he's like a ghost or something. I can't remember what it's called. It's called like something about angels.
You could just be making all this up for me, Alex.
Yeah, it could be. But
Are the Goo Goo Dolls even a band?
Who knows?
Or are they just another Hasbro toy? That when Beast Wars fails, next in cinemas is the Goo Goo Dolls, which is some slime-based, putty, Stretch Armstrong toy. Just sign me up, Hasbro.
I'd buy one, yeah.
Yeah, about 20. But yeah, I feel this song is very much of the time. That alt-rock sound is very much 2007.
What also was very of the time was a little music-based rhythm game, Guitar Hero.
Yeah, I knew
It
that.
was on Guitar
I knew
Hero.
that was going to come up.
Yeah, it was the only song I ever 5 gold starred.
Yeah, it was really easy. I remember that's exactly what I
Shut up! Don't take this away from me!
It's the only song you ever got 100% on was this.
Yeah. That's an expert.
Yeah,
on
on
expert.
expert, yeah.
Sorry, Alex.
I think it started a trend as well of, and we discussed this recently with the most recent Oscar songs, I feel the use of music and in a lot of big blockbusters became very lazy. It's just at the end, it's just thrown in. Like, they've used this song for promotional material on all the trailers, and then you just throw it into the credits when people are leaving. I just feel like you can't take credit at all for songs that are in credits. I just think it's really, really lazy.
And as well with this one as well, like you've already said, like it was a song that was just on the new album. It's not like they've written it for the film or anything. It's just they've just taken a song from, and as well, like it's going to be their best work. They're not just like phoning it in for a film song. Like they're literally like putting this out hoping it's going to do really well. So It's really weird that that's how it ended up, because I just assumed that they'd written the song for the film and then it just happened to put it on their album as well.
Oh no, I think the album's themes are around like the Doomsday Clock. I think that's what the song's referencing. It has like a ticking clock in it. And yes, I guess what's going to change? Are we moving towards the end of something? Still very themes of Linkin Park.
Did anyone think it was weird that they clearly picked the Strokes as like the cool band?
Yes, he's wearing the t-shirt.
Yeah, he's wearing that for the entire film. Why didn't they just approach the Strokes to do a song for this? It seems weird that they go, the Strokes are very cool. Linkin Park.
Is the used.
Maybe it's not angsty enough, D.
It's not Mountain Dew enough.
Not Mountain Dew. Is that another one?
It is another one, yeah.
God, yeah. How many more have you got?
8.
D, I'm running out of things to say. Launch some more at us.
Okay, so continuing the car theme, we've got Pontiac, GMC and Porsche.
Made up for some of those.
Sort of linked to cars. Enterprise Insurance.
They around at that point?
Apparently. Wells Fargo.
No.
I don't know what they do, but I recognise the
Bank,
bank.
isn't it?
Yeah, bank, I think.
Oh, there you go. AT&T.
Yeah.
Bank.
They're a phone company.
No, they're a
aren't
phone.
Oh yeah, they are a phone company. They are a phone company.
they? eBay.
Yeah.
Bank.
And CBS to round off the list. There might be more, but like we're British, so half the brands I didn't recognise.
Transformers toys.
True. Yeah, Transformers. How did I miss that
Yeah,
off the
it's
list?
the biggest one. It's right staring you right in the face.
Yeah.
How many Transformers can you name?
2.
Not counting Optimus Prime or Megatron.
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee.
And
Not counting Bumblebee because he's got a film after him.
There was one called like Raven or Jazz or something like
Jazz,
that. That
Jazz.
was quite
Yeah.
that seemed a bit on the nose.
I mean, if you
just a tad.
if you'd have asked me this the day we were originally supposed to record this episode, I probably could have named 2 that I read in the synopsis, but now I can't remember. Much like the film, it's just completely gone out of my mind.
Sandstorm or
Darude.
something like that. No, not Sandstorm.
I ain't got a clue.
All right, okay.
It doesn't matter, does it? That's the thing. Who cares?
The gorilla version of Optimus Prime.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
Huffer. I mean, I know one's from the cartoon. There's Huffer, Scrounge.
No, these are definitely
Broadside.
made up. These are you sure you're just not continuing the list of the 7 dwarfs that they didn't use the names for?
I think these are all Goo Goo Doll songs.
Scrounge.
Yeah, I mean, there was just terrible ones. And there were just all sorts of crap in it. Landfill, that was one. They were just terrible. None of them turned into guns though. But there was the Dinobots as well. I mean, I'm moving away from it now. Shall I do top 10?
Go for it.
Top 10?
Top 10.
Top 10.
There you
Sorry,
go.
whoa. Slow down.
It's transformed from
top
a top 5 to a top 10.
Top 5.
I've got 3 top 10s open on my laptop. I have a top 10
Product placement.
Transformers names. I have top 10 Rush Hour quotes because I was entertaining myself before this podcast. And then I also have a top 10 for which I will only ask you the top 5. What are the greatest ever cinema robots? In a poll in 2014.
Johnny Five.
Johnny 5? I was going to say Johnny 5. Is that in there?
Johnny Five was actually often in the lists of worst movie robots.
Get fucked.
No, if you've ever seen Short Circuits 2, it's shocking. And it ruins it all.
I mean, the obvious answer is the Bicentennial Man.
Did not see it on any list, Alex. Surprisingly.
I mean, that's shocking.
Um,
R2D2. Does he count? Like
Yeah.
droids? Do they count as robots?
Also, I'm not going into this argument. I had to look up Android, Cyborg, Droid, all this sort of stuff. They're all robots. They're just different types of robots.
So, the Star Wars robots, are they in the list?
Well, which ones?
Well, I said R2D2. I mean,
Okay.
C3PO?
C-3PO.
Yeah, okay. Who's above who?
R2D2 will be top, right? I should think.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, R2D2 is number 1. The greatest cinematic robot. C3PO, third.
Right?
Is there any more Star Wars characters
Oh,
in
that's a
there?
good
It's just
shout.
make...
They are not now. 2014,
Right,
so
okay.
I don't think BB-8 was around yet.
Okay.
Is there any characters from Blade Runner?
It was some lists,
Howard,
but
whatever it's called.
only pretentious ones.
Right, okay.
I'm going to say the T-800 from Terminator. Or T-850.
Number 5, yes. Number 5,
Of
yes.
course,
Well done,
yes,
Dee.
yes.
Okay.
That is a great shout.
Thank you. One of the robots from the movie Robots.
Again, in the list of worst movie robots, yes.
Does that also include the robots from the film AI?
All was in a lot of lists,
Yeah.
but not top 5.
Something from Alien?
Not Alien, no. Although, what's his name in like Prometheus and
Yeah,
Alien
was that
Covenant and
worse?
stuff?
David.
David, yeah. David!
Oh, this is probably not on the list, but I was going to say Alicia Vikander from Ex Machina. Was that
Again, some lists,
Yeah.
not enough.
There's probably like really obvious ones that we're just clearly not getting. It's Optimus Prime one?
Yeah.
Optimus Prime isn't, no.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you went there, Alex.
Yeah, someone's got to. Haven't
Robots in films.
they? RoboCop. RoboCop.
No, just outside,
Oh.
outside. Number 6. One's animated.
Oh, the one from... no, probably not. Big Hero 6, whatever it's called.
Baymax.
That thing.
No.
Is it Disney?
It is Disney.
All right,
It's
okay.
a robot. That's really baffling me. I can't... Very good one.
Come on. Oh, fine, not Pixar then.
Oh, Wall-E.
Yes. Thank you. Wall-E was number 2.
Yeah, that makes sense. doesn't it?
It does make sense,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, one more. It's another animated film.
But not Disney.
Not Disney. Don't know what it is. He says Superman at the end.
The robot says Superman.
Yes. Great film. Says Superman just before he dies.
It does sound familiar.
Robo Superman?
There you go, D. Got it? Robo Superman.
The classic.
Nailed it. Wow, I can't believe that.
Give us a rough... When's it from?
Like late 90s, I think, maybe. You can see it in Ready Player One.
The Iron Giant.
There you go.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. This is like pulling teeth every single week.
It was, yeah.
I almost have as many grey hairs as my grandfather because of you guys.
It's hard when you're thinking off the cuff, though.
It's hard.
We got 4. We got 4 without much.
I think D did.
What? I said the 2 robots from Star Wars. That was 2.
Moving on, D. Cut Alex out.
I can't believe Bicentennial Man is not in that list. Or in any of the lists.
Don't think he's in the top 100.
I mean, that's baffling. Have
Is it?
people seen films?
People seen Bicentennial Man?
Most people probably have.
More people voted for the fembots from Austin Powers.
Yeah, that's good as well.
Okay, so now it's time to decide what is better, but I think it's not going to take very long. The movie or the song. Alex?
The song.
I'm 100% agreeing with you, because the movie's not very good and the song is good. Ben? No way. No way are you picking movie here.
Yeah,
do it then.
go on, fine, I'll pick song. I thought about it.
That's enough.
I thought about it. Our listeners deserve
You
thought.
thought about it far too long.
Our listeners deserve thought. We'll cut out some of the time in between.
So that brings us then to another episode of That Song from That Movie. Let us know on Twitter which one you think is better, movie or the song. Alex, what is our Twitter handle?
TSF, TM Pod.
Cool. So you can help the podcast by sharing this in many places. One of those places would be on Reddit, but what random subreddit should they pick, Ben?
Stan Bush subreddit.
Oh, that's going to piss them off.
We'll tell. Well, hopefully they'll listen to this point and say, "Don't worry, we'll cover that song."
I feel sorry for the person that shares that.
Yeah.
You can help the podcast by buying our merch, signing up for our Patreon, or leaving a review. All the links for those things are in the show notes and on our social media. So what's left now is do some goodbye. So it's goodbye from myself, goodbye, and goodbye from Alex.
When all hell's breaking loose, you'll be riding the eye of the storm. You got the heart, you got the motion. You know that when things get too tough, you got the touch.
And goodbye from Ben.
It's morphing time.
So goodbye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. I actually quite like that Stormzy song.
You know what? I don't even know which one you're on about. That's how disconnected I've become.